José Mourinho is only closer and closer to becoming the new Real Madrid manager. Yes, we are calling on the special one to fix this crisis, to rebuild the team, and that's why today I am doing a video where we look at the biggest winners and losers of this appointment of José Mourinho. Who will he affect the most? Who will he help? And who will be the players that will be sold or untrusted by José Mourinho? Let's get straight to it. The first winner has to be Thibaut Courtois. Previously already chosen by José Mourinho over my legend, my countryman Peter Cech at Chelsea. He was chosen over a legend. He knew, he saw the potential already, so why not pick him again when he's literally the best goalkeeper in the world and our best player last season. Undoubtedly, for me, if it wasn't for the longevity rule at Real Madrid, he should be the captain. He is the leading figure. He always comes out after the matches, supporting the players, talking out about, our weakness, our differences in the dressing room. He's our best player and he keeps on performing and being consistent. He's been the best keeper in the world for quite some time, at least for me. It's not even a possibility of him being a loser. If we once again look at who he has coached already and who has he given a chance to already, we are looking at the new signing, my cousin Dean Huijsen. He is once again in his managerial career given him a chance at Roma to prove himself in the Serie A, and he was really good. People don't remember that Dean Huijsen has already played a lot of games. He is an experienced center back. Even though the first season at Real Madrid could have been better, yes, of course, he has been a little bit shaky. He had his, crucial moments when he got that red card against Real Sociedad, a really bad game at the start of the season against Atletico Madrid. He has had injuries, but his ball-playing ability is still there, guys. He's so talented, and the connection that has, already happened at Roma will bring, in my opinion, Dean Huijsen to be our best center-back next season. Because if we look at the pool that we have at Real Madrid right now, he might be amongst the top, even though we have Militao, Rudiger, Alaba, these seasoned veterans, and, they have just not been that great. Our whole defense has been under the radar and has been underwhelming this season. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I had higher expectations, especially after that Club World Cup from Dean Huijsen. But he has still not been the worst, signing. And you're coming to Real Madrid to be signed from Bournemouth after having a really great season in the Premier League to be a starter. He wasn't just signed to be some bum on the bench, Real Madrid trusted Dean Huijsen. He's definitely going to stay. He's definitely going to have stocks in him. And José Mourinho is the definition of making defensive players play better. Dean Huijsen's style is already a lot, focused on his ball-playing ability and his technical ability on the ball, what he does, with his height as well, because he has gotten a lot better in this aerial duels and scoring goals with his header. But we have to be honest, defensively, not the greatest, when there is an attacker behind him. But José Mourinho's style is already more compact, is more defensive, and provides more defensive cover from the midfield. Dean Huijsen will benefit so much from that Mourinho, in my opinion, will make this guy one of the best center-backs in the world. Of course, he has to stay fit, his mentality has to get better, but Dean Huijsen, for me, can be one of the biggest winners in this team, even though he's still so young. And as I said, he also looks like me, and I get compared to him like every single day I do anything on YouTube, so please, bro, you have to cook next season. Please. And another defensive player who is gonna be Trent Alexander-Arnold, the free agent who we, yes, paid 10 million for just to come to the Club World Cup to lose 4-0 to PSG. But, you live and you learn. But in my opinion, Trent already had a decent season. When he featured, he was great. I think, some of his defensive mistakes, yes, have been featured as well in this season, but he wasn't that bad defensively as people call him out to be the worst defensive fullback of all time. His crossing ability has already shown. His, the attacking side of Trent Alexander-Arnold is always going to be great. He, in my opinion, he's one of the best generationally gifted fullbacks of his generation, and even in history. He has already shown it in the biggest of stages, and he has won everything in football. It is just, that adaptation at Real Madrid wasn't the greatest at the start because of the injuries. But as I said, I think he's going to be a crucial part in this Real Madrid team. With Dean Huijsen, it's more of, the defensive ability to be shown more in José Mourinho's system. But Trent, I don't think he's going to develop that much defensively because he's not that young. Let's be honest, guys. He's, what, 26, 27, becoming next season. We have been struggling a lot since the retirement of Toni Kroos to actually do anything creatively wise, playmaking wise. And this guy is basically a playmaker from right back. I think that's such a strength of his game, and José Mourinho's system will, cover his defensive mistakes and, not his, I would say, disability, in these biggest of games to actually defend these wingers. But we have to look at it just intelligently and say, okay, he's not the best defensive asset we have, but he is one of the best playmaking, assets we have in this team. Because injuries of, for example, Arda Güler, and maybe if Nico Paz is not going to get, the trust of José Mourinho, which we will get onto later in the video as well, he will be our main playmaking outlet. He is the creator. You could see it with his crosses, with his passing ability, and with Fede Valverde, maybe starting, not starting, I don't know. But when Fede Valverde plays with Trent Alexander-Arnold, they are one of the best duos in football already. When Fede Valverde does that defensive cover from Trent, I genuinely think Trent can be one of the best fullbacks in the world. He has not been that in the past few seasons, in my opinion. It has clearly been Reece James when he's fit and Hakimi, who have been better. But Trent Alexander-Arnold on his day, when he has that defensive cover from Mourinho's system, as I said, more compact, and Fede Valverde, doing the defensive work for him as well, I think he's going to be definitely a winner under José Mourinho. Now, let's move on to the midfield, which we have some controversial takes, in my opinion. And of course, it is the redemption story of Camavinga. Eduardo Camavinga, my guy. And this is, of course, depending on if he stays at Real Madrid, which is a possibility that he leaves. Many clubs have already been linked to him. But it just looks like that Real Madrid doesn't, want to give up on him just yet. I know it was a huge blip, that red card against Bayern Munich and those yellow cards this season. Injury-wise, it has not been great in the past 2 seasons as well. But redemption story, what does José Mourinho love the most? Underdog, the special stories, the fairy tales. This is what José Mourinho does, and under the assumption he actually stays fit, once again, it's a lottery ticket at this point with Camavinga. I'm not gonna lie, I think you have one of the biggest possibilities to turn yourself around and be a winner in this team, Camavinga, because as we are gonna mention with another midfielder, I can already mention it's gonna be Tchouaméni, one of the winners as well. I love Camavinga, okay? Even though I hated what he did against Bayern Munich, I just think Camavinga is such a talented player. And he has been misprofiled by Real Madrid. We have been using him these past few years just like a defensive cover, like some defensive bum that only defends, is the second fiddle to the other midfielders and always runs, plays as a fullback, plays as a right mid, or does the 6 work, 8 work. But guys, if we look at his, profile and his games under, Carlo Ancelotti, and in the first few seasons that he has played for Real Madrid, he wasn't just the defensive-minded midfielder. Look at his time at Rennes. He was a flying 8 who won balls high. He was winning balls high up the pitch. He was doing those progressive carries, and he was almost a 10. He was an 8 who was progressing with the ball, and his ability to make players look like dummies in Liga, of course, I know, and to beat players one-on-one is so underused at Real Madrid. We just think, we have another basically, Tchouaméni who can defend and help Tchouaméni and maybe a little bit of the passing. But when you look at Camavinga on the ball, he is so underused in those attacking areas. And, look at the games. He has actually played well attacking-wise. He scored against Manchester City, that deflection, if you remember that. He was the main figure in coming off the bench against Chelsea in that 21-22 season when we needed him defensively. But he was there. He was high up the pitch. He was winning those balls. He wasn't sitting with Tchouaméni. No. We need Camavinga to be a key player off the bench or as a starter next to Tchouaméni in an 8 position, not as a pivot. It needs to be a 6 and an 8. If Camavinga is going to work in this team and going to stay, he's going to be an 8. And, before José Mourinho was linked to Real Madrid, I thought Camavinga was done. But with José, 99% done in my opinion. I think Mourinho might be a perfect fit to try something new with Camavinga. Now Next to Camavinga, as I have already mentioned, is the defensive monster Tchouaméni. I, had my differences with Tchouaméni last season. In my opinion, he was atrocious. He got booed off the pitch, and as I have already mentioned many times this season, he has surprised me a lot. His ability to turn his season around and to turn his season, into one of his best seasons of all time. This might be his best season at Real Madrid. Defensively, solid. He was a crucial part in this Madrid team. Ball winning ability is just there. His strength is already there. The ability is there. I just think he has a lot more to give. There is still unlocked potential in Tchouaméni. Because, guys, you just don't get these physical traits. That tall, that strength, that ball playing ability, everything. He has it already. Physically, he's already there. But he has the ability to give us more. And even more has to prove because of the embarrassment that happened with Fede Valverde. I know it's more on Fede's, fault with, pushing him up until the point that he had to do something. I don't even know if he punched him now, guys. It might just be fake-ass rumors, which you never know with Real Madrid, rumors and news and these dramas. But under José Mourinho, we have already seen these monsters as a defensive midfielders. We have like Makelele, Essien, Matic, Cambiasso. He had Xabi Alonso as a playmaker, but he had, Khedira as the runner at Real Madrid, for example. He had all sixes. We're going to see this in the 10s, 8s, 6s. He has coached the elite of elite. He has coached different profiles, and Tchouaméni fits in more of to the runner, the destroyer, the collector of the ball, the guy that stops attacks. And who do you want as a defensive cover? Do you want some scrawny little kid, like Camavinga? No, you want that monster, Tchouaméni, to be the last player to stop everything before it actually gets to Huijsen, Militao, Rudiger, or whoever we sign as a center back. I think he has always been a great six. Tchouaméni, even before this for Carlo Ancelotti, and even this season for Xabi Alonso or Arbeloa. But under Mourinho, I think he can be the number 1 6 in the world, and he can be, in these 11s, top 11s in the world, and he can be featuring in the Ballon d'Or as well. I think he is at that level in talent, and it just has to be unlocked that little bit more with José Mourinho. And we have to move on to the last 3 players that are going to be the most controversial out of them all. And all of you might be mad in the comments, but I'm gonna say, if there is one manager to do something with the most controversial players, it is gonna be the special one, José Mourinho. These players are Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappé, and Vinicius Jr. Now, before I even begin dissecting why I think, they can be great under Jose and this and that, I'm gonna mention Mbappe and Vinicius will both be in the winner's bracket and the loser's bracket. The loser's bracket is gonna come, don't you worry, guys. It's self-explanatory in my eyes because they both have so many positive while also having so many negative. So why not just start with Jude Bellingham and get into the losers and, Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, the controversial ones, and get into Mbappe and Vinicius a little bit later. Now, Jude, who Mourinho already spoke of highly in many interviews, and this position of a 10, or an attacking midfielder, as you could say, has always been Mourinho's biggest strength, in my opinion, in all of his teams. When we look at Chelsea, Inter, Porto, and even Madrid, we have guys like Mesut Ozil, we have Juan Mata, we have Lampard, we have Sneijder, even Deco at Porto. And you know what I like about these elite players, legendary players? They are all something different. They are something different in the kind of 10 they are, because Deco, a little bit more of a playmaker, he can score a little bit more as well. Mesut Ozil, definitely the final pass, can score some goals from as well. Juan Mata, playmaker. Sneijder, more of a sniper, receive the ball, bang. Lampard, more of an all-rounder and scoring goals in the Premier League, having 20 goal seasons in the Prem. It's just, he has coached elite in this position, while Jude can offer something that I think, is closer to that Lampard profile. He can crash the box, he can be the false 9 in this team, he can play as an 8, he can play as a 10 that helps the the defensive midfielders a lot more, but he can also run, progress with the ball, he can get much better technically. People still don't get the point that he's only 22 years old. He is that young, and he's spoken about as a 27-year-old, This is what Pedri and Jude Bellingham have done to the midfielder market. Vitinha is on the same level, but guys, he's 5-6 years older than these two. You have to keep that in mind. Now, of course, Jude Bellingham can go both ways. What if Arda has the season of his life? But I just don't see Jude's quality being misplaced under José Mourinho. Honestly, if he stays fit, with the World Cup in mind, I hope he has a great World Cup. I think Jose can add another elite midfielder to that list, because when we look at the positions Mourinho likes to use the most, it is the number 10. It is the number 10 that is the vocal point. Of course, the striker, the fullbacks, the wingers have their point. But if you just look at the game winners and the players that have the most flair, the silky ones like Mata, Sneijder, Ozil, I think it's going to be Jude Bellingham for Jose Mourinho. And I know you're waiting for Vinny and Mbappe, but come on, let's leave it until the end of the video, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, comment your thoughts on the winners and the losers, because the losers are gonna come now. Let's mention them, because there is a lot of them. In this team, all of them are basically losers right now, but there is definitely people that will be losing if Jose Mourinho comes to this club. Yeah, we have a lot of first-team players that are basically sold already. We have players like Alaba, Ceballos, Carvajal, Fran Garcia, and you can mention even Mendy in these guys as well. We have, for example, even Brahim Diaz who could be on the chopping block. Some academy players that can be seen out the window, because we know Jose Mourinho and the academy, it can either go 100% or you're gone out of the club, okay? But the players that will stay and will, still be losers in my eyes, that's what I think are, important to talk about, because these players will actually be on the bench or just be sold in January maybe, or the season after. But these are the injury-ridden players like Militao, as I already mentioned, Ferland Mendy and Rodrigo, all depending on, how fit they can be, and they are either never fit, or in Rodrigo's case, it's just inconsistencies. Militao, unfortunately, one of the best center-backs in the world, has already proven to us that he just can't stay fit even for 2 weeks. This season, once again, has been a disappointment, because in the start of the season, he was our best center-back. He was the best player in, the defense. Do you remember he was scoring that crazy-ass goal from 30 meters, but then he just gets injured for 4 months, guys, out of nowhere. He comes back for 2 weeks, he gets injured again for 2 weeks. He comes back, and now he's out of the World Cup, and he's injured for 5 months. I just can't be trusting these players, okay? I think with, if you look at, for example, I don't know, Camavinga or Mbappe, yes, they have been there have been injuries, but they have still given us the game time. They have still proven that they can play, in multiple positions, more so in the Mbappe side, because he has been injured only the half of the season, and Jude Bellingham, of course, had the injury as well, but we know these players can stay fit. Can you say the same for Militao? Definitely not. Even though he has been one of the best center-backs, I think we should either move on or should not be dependent on Militao at all. And that's, the defensive structure is one of the most crucial things in Mourinho's system. And we just have to look at players like Militao and also Ferland Mendy. I'm so done with Ferland Mendy that genuinely, if he disappeared tomorrow from Real Madrid, I wouldn't even notice. Guys, he has played around 10 games per season in the last 3 years. When he comes on, he looks great defensively. He's not a modern fullback, definitely. He would look great in my eyes under Jose Mourinho, but I just don't trust him to play even 5 games in the first 5 months. So why would I even be looking at him as a player that can just stay the same? No, he's gonna be a loser, guys. I think Mourinho thrives of trusting players. He thrives when these players are available and he can work with them week in, week out. That builds the trust. Mourinho's biggest, problem at some of these clubs are just falling out with the players. And do you think Mendy's going to build trust with Mourinho when he's going to play 5 games for, I don't know, in 30 games? It's just not going to happen. And, I think the saddest one of them all is going to be Rodrigo. It's a case of How is he gonna even look after the ACL? You know, guys, I know some of these players have, you know, recovered from the UCL. For example, Florian Wirtz, 2 ACLs, one of the best seasons Leverkusen has ever had, and he was probably their best player. But that slight change in his game as a winger is still much, much different than players like, you know, center backs and midfielders, tens. When you are a winger, you need every extra bit of pace, agility, quick step, you know, that first quick run of 2 steps. He needs it. He needs it, guys. But does the club even want to keep Rodrigo? Will Mourinho be ruthless and, you know, give chances to others? For example, like Endrick, Nico Paz, maybe even Arda on the right wing. I don't know. Will Franco stay at this club? Will we develop like Yanez? I don't know. There's so many things that can go wrong with Rodrigo that I just think I have to put him on the losers bracket, even though I hope the best for Rodrigo, even if he leaves Real Madrid. Now, the last 2 losers will be a little bit controversial in my opinion, which I could have added Arda Güler to this list as well, but I just think he will stay around the same. You know, he will not be the vocal point of Real Madrid, but he will still get game time and he will be good in some games, bad in some games. I just think Arda Güler has the time to develop, but he also has the trust of the club and, you know, the previous managers. But Nico Paz and Endrick is, you know, they are both great talents, but they both don't have the trust and the time on the pitch or outside the pitch. Because if we are being 100% honest, where are they even fitting into this team? Yes, the system fits Nico Paz. Yes, the system might fit, you know, Endrick if he switches to a right winger, or if we play him as a striker. I don't know what's gonna happen with Vinny and Mbappe. Let's leave that for later. But is he gonna choose Nico Paz over Guler and Jude? Is he gonna pick, you know, are we gonna sign somebody? Are we gonna even get Endrick back? We are 99% getting Nico Paz back. It's just, for me, it's the game time for both players. We can be even looking at a situation where Endrick comes back, forcefully so, because I think he wants to stay at Lyon. But what if we just say, nah, come here? What if Gonzalo Garcia stays now? José Mourinho with strikers is a lot different. He trusts these, you know, what if he trusts Gonzalo Garcia? He likes a proper number 9. He likes a proper number 9, guys. And with both players, I know there's huge amounts of talent, and now, you know, prove that they can do it in Liga for Lyon, and he can do it for Serie A with Cesc Fabregas, this nice story at Como. But they are huge vocal points for those teams. But can you do it at Real Madrid not being the vocal point? That guy coming off the bench or getting few chances. You have to snatch that chance when it comes. And there's not going to be a lot of chances because Real Madrid is at a point where they need to win or it's nothing. It's win or die. Genuinely, at Real Madrid, it's either we win or do nothing. It's a second, it's selling, and you are getting shipped. I think Endrick, in my opinion, should stay one more season at Lyon or try, you know, a little bit something a bit more, you know, in the Premier League maybe, or a bigger club in the Bundesliga or Liga even. But he shouldn't come back. With Nico Paz, I really like him. I want him to come back. But where is he going to fit under José Mourinho? I don't know. That's why I'm going to put them into the maybe losers, you know. I don't think there are, like, solely the purpose they are going to be the losers, but I don't know with José Mourinho, what is he going to do with the young players? And I just mentioned, it's either win or nothing. And the players that represent this the best are Kylian Mbappé and Vinicius Jr. Because for them, it's literally win or nothing. Because Kylian Mbappé and Vinicius Jr. have been on the fence for the whole season. They have been changing and turning. You know, they have been friends, enemies. The media portraying Mbappé as the problem. The petitions for Mbappé, Vinicius needs to leave, and this and that. Contract situations, everything is going wrong. But this is so on the fence for me because they genuinely can be 100% a winner, but 100% a loser under Jose. Because let's just start with Vinicius Jr. There is so much to talk about. His ability is there. His talent is there. You know, he's fast, he's direct, one-on-ones are there, but his mentality suddenly shifted so much after the loss in the Ballon d'Or against Rodri, and after the arrival of, you know, Kylian Mbappe not being the perfect tactical fit. Of course, I'm not gonna blame Vinicius just because he's playing bad, but I just don't see Vinicius being that player again. In my opinion, it's only Jose that can get him out of that. But once again, is he gonna wanna work with Jose after what happened with Prestiani, Benfica? I might just be looking too much into it, but Vinicius Jr. is really hot-headed. And if you have seen Jose Mourinho in press conferences on the touchline, that brother is so hot-headed that they might, do a Fede Valverde in Germany. They might have a boxing fight. On the other hand, if they squash that beef, and Vinicius Jr. understands that Jose Mourinho is not there to beef with him, but he's there to help him and make him a great. Because left wingers, guys, under Jose Mourinho, Eden Hazard, he had Ronaldo at Real Madrid, which, in my opinion, is one of the best versions of Ronaldo ever. Even though he didn't have the greatest of teams, at AS Roma, those big game players like Dybala, these players are just difference makers who make the team run. And Vinicius Jr. can be one of them. Guys, if you remember, in those seasons, and even this season, which has gone under the radar, and I know I have been a victim of this as well, I have said Vinicius Jr. doesn't press. Maybe the press is just not organized, guys, because Vinicius Jr. actually runs for days. He is third in running the most for Real Madrid this season. I think Germany has ran the most, or Fede Valverde is up there. The midfielders are expected to be there, but Vinicius runs a lot. And if you know, you know. With Jose Mourinho, you're basically another fullback as a winger. Vinicius Jr. can be that. But we have to understand the other guy as well, which is Kylian Mbappé, which I'm going to get into right now. Kylian Mbappé is going to be that sacrifice that Jose Mourinho does for the number one player in this team. Kylian Mbappé will either be number one in this team or he will be a loser. That's all there is to it. Vinicius Jr. has to understand that he will have to run for Kylian Mbappé while also being one of the best players in this team, or might be the best player in this team. But if Kylian Mbappé is supposed to be this number 9, or they are supposed to rotate and work with each other as Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappé, Mbappé has to run the least in this team, which has Jose always done. It's only gonna be that case, which that player, one player in Jose's teams, they don't have to run too much. They don't have to be, that crazy-ass presser as a striker. It's only if he repays him every single game with a goal or an assist or a big moment. Jose Mourinho is a return merchant. I'm telling you guys. Drogba, did he score, the most amount of goals in the Premier League? Was the record, of him in the Premier League the best? No, if you look at his GA and the stats of him in the Premier League, the numbers are not that crazy. But in the biggest of games, did he always repay Jose Mourinho? Yes. And that's exactly what Mbappe needs to do. Because he's not going to be that physical as, Diego Costa or Drogba or even Milito at Inter. He's not going to be that striker instinct, but he is so fast. He likes to play on the line, and his finishing is one of the best in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Kylian Mbappe is still one of the best finishers in the world. It's once again a case of, can Kylian Mbappe become better at pressing? Because if you think you're gonna stay like this, Mbappe and Vinicius, and be this duo drama, and Kylian Mbappe, you're not gonna run, and Vinicius, you're gonna pipe up to the manager, and you're gonna be media wise and changing your profile picture on IG, and Mbappe posting this and that, you're out. Both of you can be out. Jose Mourinho is that guy. If there is one guy to bench both of you, if you don't shut the hell up, it is Jose Mourinho. But if Kylian Mbappe becomes the vocal point and Vinicius runs for him, Mbappe becomes that big game player as, Drogba was or these players were, I think it can work out. You can call me delusional all you want. I think they can both be winners and losers. And I think that's the perfect, description of this team, because there is a lot of losers, a lot of winners, yes, but Jose Mourinho, in my opinion, works best with the biggest egos in the world, which are Jude Bellingham, Mbappe, and Vinicius Jr. So let me know down below if I, overrated this Mbappe Vinicius thing, if I overrated the winners, or if I was too harsh on, for example, Nico, Paz, or Endrick, them being so young, or the injury players like Rodrigo, Militao, and Mendy. You can let me know down below everything you thought about this video. And please, if you have stayed up until this point, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Jose Mourinho, please come to Madrid. Bye-bye.